Alright, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Writer's Bookshelf. So today I've got a treat for you. We are starting our first genre book. It's been a long time coming. We've been doing a lot of books on craft and a lot of books on character and plot and dialogue, voice, and so much craft, You know, it's like, going back to college and doing a creative writing course. But today we finally get to do a full-on book about a, very popular genre. And that genre is mystery. And if you are a fan of mystery books, movies, whatever, this book that we're doing today will definitely get you on the right track. And that book, of course, is Writing and Selling Your Mystery Novel by Hallie Ephron. And this is the revised and expanded edition. Granted, I bought this a few years ago, so I don't know what the original version was, but you can certainly get the new one. It came out 2016, so it's been a few years. But what I like about this book is it's top to bottom complete how-to. If you are interested at all in writing mysteries or just learning how mysteries work, maybe you're not interested in writing the mystery, but maybe you want to learn how other mystery writers can do it. This is definitely the book for you. And I don't normally read the blurbs on this series, but I'm going to read this one because this should tell you everything. Okay, the blurb up here. This is from one Lee Child. You may remember him from the author of Jack Reacher books, like The Killing Floor and Die Trying, and One Shot. And if you know Jack Reacher, he's got a right now is a Amazon TV show. It's doing pretty well. There's a couple Tom Cruise movies that horribly cast, but still Jack Reacher. Lee Child says, this is the best how-to guide I've ever seen. I just wish I could have read it 20 years ago. So Lee Child is saying that about this book. I probably don't even need to do a video on this anymore. Like, I don't even know why you're still watching. Go buy it. But I know you're here to find out, exactly why it's so good. So we will talk about it. But again, I don't need to spend a lot of time on this because it's, again, what you need to know is that it's top to bottom, shows you how to write a mystery from the beginning to the end, how to prep it, how to sell it, all of it. So that said, let's take a quick look inside. I want to just mention that every chapter, every section's got some visual guides. It's got some things for you to work on. Like, literally the page before, you have this yin yang here. You've got more charts. Oops, let's see. You have this section called Now You Try. So it gives you a lot of work to do. So this is not a matter of just giving you theory and sending you off to hopefully get it right. Like, the Hallie Ephron is making sure that you get it right. And I would even say you may want to consider photocopying some of these pages and being able to write them so that you can duplicate the process for each book. I'm not a big fan of marking books, as I just like to have brand new copy, but also because if I want to repeat the process, it's kind of hard to do that if it's already been marked in. So if you want to get like some kind of scanner that you can use to save some of the templates so you can reuse them, not a bad idea. But even still, again, you've got so many examples of how to put mysteries together that it's going to be difficult to get lost here. And so what's nice about this is this even goes into the reasons why the mystery is popular. So she says, first, let's take the high road. Whether it's hard-boiled or soft, and regardless of whether there's a murder in the book at all, mystery novels that find a strong audience give readers something more than an edge-of-the-seat ride. Often they examine serious themes and social issues. Truth, culpability, love, racism, corruption, power, redemption. Weighty matters such as these are at the core of the best mystery fiction. The most compelling mysteries have unforgettable characters who undergo a transformation. On top of that, the mystery has to be a fun read and a page-turner with a satisfying ending that leaves the reader wide-eyed amazement, thinking, I should have seen that coming. Now for the low road. From a commercial marketing standpoint, it doesn't hurt to have a gimmick. This is particularly true when you or your agent is submitting your manuscript to publishers. Editors like books, they can figure out how to pitch and promote to their own sales force, booksellers and readers. So it can be advantageous to your book if your book has a hook, some unique feature you can communicate in 10 seconds. A hook can be anything from your protagonist's occupation to a particularly intriguing setting or backdrop to an added bonus beyond the mystery and the mystery. Here are some examples of authors in the series. So I'm just going to give you a couple just to make a point here. This is the chart that she's using now. I just started this section up here. So Rita Mae Brown, Sneaky Pie series. So the hook is that cats solve the crimes. Alan Bradley's Flavia DeLucci series. The hook is the sleuth is a cheeky 11-year-old in pigtails. And then Rhys Bowen's Royal Spinus series. The hook is a failed royal, penniless, and 34th in line to the throne solves crimes. It's actually kind of interesting. So what she's basically the point is it doesn't matter who your character is, you can tie them into a mystery. So whatever your idea is, run with it, see what happens with it. And that's, again, this book is going to show you ways you can make even that work. Whether there is a murder mystery to solve or some other kind of mystery. But yeah, so that said, let's go ahead and we're going to look at the table of contents, and I want to show you guys again how in-depth this is. So here's the first page, and you have this one here. It goes into revising and publishing. So here's the table of contents. You have the introduction and then how the book works, of course, but then part one is called planning, and I think you have scene dividers in here. Each scene divider's got one of these graphics over here, and it gives you an overview of what to expect in the chapter, or the section. So you're always going to have your foot kind of on the ground, knowing where you are at all times. So again, you're not going to get lost. All right, so planning. So chapter one is the premise. You got the mystery sleuth. You got the crime and the victim's secrets. The villain, innocent suspects. The supporting cast. The web of characters with completing goals. The setting. Staking out the plot, and then picking a title. Let's actually look at picking a title. That one's an interesting one to see. Now this one actually has a lot of graphics here. All right, so picking a title is pretty short. Here it is. You see a little bar chart down there. What the bar chart is, it's the title, links to mystery and crime bestsellers, the number of books. Over on the left, you'll see the number of words. So you notice that 2 is like the winner. Like this whole thing is all books with just 2 words in the title. And then the top one's got 5. So you'll notice that with mysteries, the longer your title, the less popular it is. So that's an interesting statistic to run with. Of course, she gives you a list of some of the titles that were popular, like The 15th Affair by James Patterson. Although is it the title or the author? Let's be honest. James Patterson's pretty popular. Last Mile by David Baldacci, Extreme Prey by John Sanford, Boar Island by Nevada Barr, and so on. So basically, that's just one example that you're going to find. It's, mysteries are often based not just on the story itself, but how captivating is the title. And of course, it gives you again a workbook on how to come up with a good title. This particular chart has a place for your favorite titles, and then it gives you a section for what makes it memorable and what it evokes. And then it gives you your on your own, so how to brainstorm your picking a title there. So brainstorm title ideas, review your blueprint, pay special attention to the premise, the backdrop and setting, the major plot points, and the main character. Free associate, make a list of the words and images that come to mind, circle 5 or 10 you like best, and turn them into titles. To look up each of the 5 titles in an online bookstore to see how often it's been used. That's pretty important in mysteries, because you'll find that you're going to find a lot of titles that have the word like, taken, or, the accused, or, they fell, or something. I don't know. Mysteries they're comprised of titles that have kind of sinister undertones oftentimes. Not every case, but it's pretty easy to duplicate a title that's already out there. So just bear that in mind. Search for your potential titles online. Check each word in an online slang dictionary. That way, if you use the word like shag in your title, at least you'll know up front that it has more than one meaning. It's good to know. And then pick a title. And that just one example. And then, of course, they give you, at the end of the section, the blueprint for planning your mystery novel. And so if you want to really put this to practice, put your book to work there. So and that's when we're going to get to the second part, which is writing. Okay, so the section for writing includes writing a dramatic opening, introducing the protagonist, introducing major and minor characters, dramatizing scenes and writing chapters, narrative voice and viewpoint, writing dialogue, creating a sense of place, writing investigation with clues, red herrings, and misdirection. That's going to be a really important one if you're writing a mystery, because remember, those are based off of the tropes of mystery. If you don't have a red herring in your mystery, then there's not really much of a mystery, because you're going to take your character right to the end before you even get started. So the red herring is something that you have to have in order to misdirect your reader. And so that's interesting, because readers, I mean, they know it's coming, but they don't always know which one is the red herring. So it's just a good practice. Let's actually look at that one. Chapter 18. I would say remind me to come back to chapter 18, but I can't actually hear you. All right, so this is under writing investigation, and you have investigating, observing, and interrogating. That's the first subtitle that down there. You have, let's see, now you try it, bending clues and red herrings, playing fair. What's playing fair? What's that about? In a mystery novel, it's considered bad form to flat out withhold information that the narrator knows. It can be infuriating when an author withholds, even temporarily, some important piece of information the point of view character knows. Here's an example. I'm not going to read the example, but actually, yeah, I'll read the example. It's short enough. Sharon's cell phone rang. Sorry, she told Bob. This could be important. She flipped the phone open and pressed it to her ear. Hello? Sharon recognized the caller's voice, the last person she'd expect to call her after all that happened. What's up? She said, trying not to sound surprised. You need to know this, the caller began. As Sharon listened, she found herself pressing against the car door, trying to insert a few extra inches between herself and Bob. Bob was eyeing her closely, and his unconcerned look suddenly seemed no more than veneer. So according to Ephron, the chapter ends and the reader doesn't discover for 20 pages the identity of the caller or what troubling information that person imparted. Never mind that we've been hanging out in Sharon's head for the last 100 pages, and she's been blabbing everything she sees, hears, feels, and thinks. Now all of a sudden she plays coy with a critical tidbit. So of course, she goes on and explains why this is a bad idea. So one of the takeaways here is that we want to be responsible writers whenever we're dealing with a mystery in particular. Readers have particular expectations we have to deliver on, and one of the points with mysteries in particular is mysteries have expectations that we have to fulfill, and if we don't do that, the reader will be upset, and we don't want to upset the reader. We want to make sure that the reader gets what they came here for. So in a case like this we just looked at, if the character has information, like, why would she hold it if that's against character to withhold it? We assume that she's going to get the information when we need to know about it under these conditions. So that's one example. But as you can see, again, this particular this chapter, it's going to reminds you of the things that's critical to remember when you're putting your story together. But that also says something about the book itself. This book here it really is not leaving anything off the table. Like it's giving you everything you need to know. So if you've ever wanted to write a mystery, I hope that this convinces you. But we'll keep going in case it doesn't, because it's worth knowing what else is in here. But that's just one example. This book is going to walk you hand in hand from the beginning to the end. If Lee Child is saying you need to read this, and he's a best-selling mystery author, you need to read it. Period. All right, so you have other taglines up here. You've got confusion and interest killer, coincidence is a credibility killer, and then of course now we're at the end. But that's just, again, a sample of what that chapter holds and a sample of what the book holds. As you can see, it's valuable. And I think you kind of get the point. So anyway, that was 18. So 19 is writing suspense. 20 is writing action. We got puzzling it out, the writing reflection, layering in backstory, writing the final climax, and then writing the coda. The coda meaning the ending. Then we go to part 3, revising. So this is where you're flying high, fixing plot and character. Remember that don't. One thing that Lee Child is notorious for is writing one draft. I don't know if it's literally one draft or if it's one draft with polish. But most writers need more than one draft. So fortunately, this book tells you how to move from draft one to for draft two and beyond. So you have flying high, fixing plot and character, flying low, polishing scenes and sentences. Why would we have that? High would be like the top level, like really important things you have to, like a high pass, the things you have to do in order to fix your story. If your plot or character doesn't work, your mystery doesn't work. If you forget to show the body or what the source of the mystery is, I mean, that's bad. If you forget your red herring, don't put it all in there. So high level would be the stuff that you have to have in order for the story to work. Then the low is polishing scenes and sentences. That's again the fine tuning, making sure that each scene is not necessarily memorable, but it works. It's to the best type that you can do, and so on. Seeking criticism and finding your own fix. So this is, I guess, editing, and then preparing the final manuscript. So remember that this part of this book is it's not just writing the mystery; it's also trying to sell the mystery. So this is in the context of writers who actually want to pitch it to agents and publishers, not just do it themselves. Now, if you're a self-publisher, you still got to fix it. You still got to edit it, but you don't necessarily need to prepare it for the pitch. But you do need to prepare it for the publication, no matter what stage or what type of publishing you're going for. But this is essentially getting you ready to do, the version that you're going to pitch to whoever's going to get it. And then, of course, part 4, publishing your mystery novel at the bottom. You'll notice that there's only 2. She's really judicious about this. She's really mindful of the different types of writers out there. Chapter 29, placing your novel with a traditional publisher. Chapter 30, self-publishing your novel. So regardless of where you are in the process, there's something there for everybody. Okay. And so she even tells you to understand what publishers do. So this is not just a book on mystery. It's also a book about just the writing and publishing process. It's not going to be as in-depth as a book dedicated to how to publish, but at least it gets you in the right mind frame. So that's pretty good. It tells you how to write a query letter, synopsis, according to the small press. There's a little bit of everything in here. How to handle rejection, that's important. And that's important even if you're self-publishing, because remember, your readers will reject you if your story's not up to par. And someone will reject you even if it is up to par, because some people are just jerks. But for the most part, you want to at least please some people, and so that'll help you get there. So yeah, they give you some handy tips on self-publishing. And then regarding the appendix, so I don't often cover the appendix, but even this one has good information. So like if you're looking for writer groups in order to workshop your work, the thing with a mystery in particular is you want to make sure that the mystery is solvable but not easily solvable, right? You want to make sure that the reader's surprised when they get to the ending, but that they can see that, well, it actually all makes sense. Like, you never want to just pull the rabbit out of the hat. Surprise, you never saw this coming because I didn't put anything in here that would give you any clue that this was coming. That would be bad, right? Your reader would feel shortchanged. So in this particular case, you may want to get some feedback from other readers to make sure that they buy the ending, right? And this kind of goes back to the purpose of planning a mystery. When we go back to the debate between planners and plotters, sorry, that's the same thing, plotters and pantsers. I would say a mystery in particular is very difficult to do as a pantser, unless you're Lee Child, who has a sense of how things progress. But I think even Lee Child knows where the ending is going to, or how the ending is going to be. You really shouldn't set up a mystery without knowing your ending, and you probably shouldn't set it up without knowing the pieces that are critical to telling the story. If you go back to a while back, I did videos on this writing tool called YWriter. One of the things that I like about YWriter, especially for mysteries, is it gives you an option for planning your items or your objects as much as your characters and places and all that. Not every tool does that. That's one of the things that I've been upset about with a lot of our modern writing tools, is that they're all about developing your characters, developing your scenes, but they don't give you a lot of options for planning your objects. Planning your red herrings or your MacGuffins. A mystery requires these things. If you don't have these things, you don't have a mystery. So, as much as I like pantsing my way through stories, and you may love the same, a mystery is the kind of genre where the less pantsing you do, the better, because you do want to make sure you got all the critical elements, and you want to make sure you have a good place to put them. If you can make sure that you have your major beats or your major energetic markers, which, by the way, I forgot to mention when I did the video on the Plot Whisperer. She talks a lot about energetic markers. I completely forgot to mention that. So if you're watching this after the fact, Plot Whisperer has something about energetic markers. The energetic marker would be like your major scene beats. Mysteries have to have those too in order to really work and hold together. So just like any a good mystery will have your tropes like the red herring or the subplot that ultimately leads into the main plot that connects your hero maybe to the villain or to the victim or whatever. All these different things that go into place. Knowing that ahead of time really helps you actually finish the book. And it certainly helps you from meandering, because the other thing about a mystery is a mystery really needs to keep going. It should never drag. It should never reach the point where your reader forgets what you've brought up, because remember, mystery is a puzzle. And if the reader cannot remember a puzzle piece, they're never going to solve it. They're never going to figure it out on their own. And they want to be satisfied enough that they can try to figure it out. They don't necessarily want to figure it out on page 2, but by page 302, they kind of want to start to get it, right? And so, the better laid out your plot, the better laid out your pieces, the easier it is for them to get to the end while still being surprised once they actually get there. And so that's one of the tactics there. So if you can get into a workshop, that's good. It also gives you some tips on some mystery conferences, and then some agents and publishers that specialize in that field. And it's just an overall comprehensive book. Again, I don't know if you're into mysteries. This may have been a waste of your time if you hate mysteries. It's a little bit different than thriller, so I want to qualify that. You can make a thriller off of this structure, but this particular book is about writing mysteries, how to do them well. The next book I do will actually, I think it's about both mysteries and thrillers, so we'll talk more about that next time. But if you're just interested in the crime mystery, the cozy murder mystery, it can even be something it's like Harry Potter, where Harry Potter is about something else entirely, but it's a mystery that holds the pieces together. Even something like that, some kind of cross genre book. Just knowing how to mystery is assembled really can make any book you're writing just that much better. If you're writing a business thriller about somebody about to lose their company, maybe it's about sabotage, and maybe you want to lay out some kind of series of clues for your reader to figure out that they're being sabotaged. So there's any number of ways you can approach this. It doesn't have to be just a flat out Agatha Christie style mystery. It can be again, Harry Potter type. It can be I'm trying to think of what else is even like something like Glengarry Glen Ross, where you're not sure who leaked the leads. The whole movie is trying to figure out who's responsible for the leak. Heck, in real life, we often want to know who's leaking things to the press. So there's mysteries everywhere. So whether we want to write a traditional mystery or something that uses a mystery, I think there's a lot to get out of this. So that said, this is one of my. There's a few books that I highly recommend. I recommend most everything I cover on this channel, but there's a small handful of my absolute go-tos. You probably figured out that all the ones by Larry Brooks are my absolute go-tos. Hooked by Les Edgerton is a absolute go-to. The one I did with Plot Whisperer, I think is an absolute, but this is also not on my absolute list. because regardless of whether you're doing a traditional or you want to layer it in, you're going to get something that's going to really help you tell a great story. I mean, just flat out, just something that's going to keep your readers turning the pages. And ultimately, that's what we all want to do, is we want to tell that story that keeps the reader engaged, that they can't wait to get to the end. Not because they want to get it over with, but because they have to find out, how's this going to end. And then we have to be careful sometimes. I just finished reading Cuckoo's Calling by also by Rowling under the Robert Galbraith name. And I enjoyed it. It was very long. I don't think she's capable of writing a short book. But there was just a lot of intermixing scenes between getting the interviews and then trying to put the pieces together. And the interviews, I mean, they were long. They're like little mini plays or little mini sketches. But that's part of gathering the clues. You're part of gathering the mystery. I mean, sometimes you're going to have that piece, but it gets really interesting when you find out, what does the character actually know about the mystery at hand, or like where were they when this happens. And we don't always know who these characters are. We don't necessarily know why we should care about the characters, but again, they're components of the bigger puzzle. If we know that there's something amiss, if we know there's something that the protagonist is trying to solve, and that there's something to solve, I mean, we assume that the protagonist is going to actually find out that there is a crime here. That was one of the big mysteries of Cuckoo's Calling in particular, is it a crime or was it suicide? It's which is it? And so we assume there's a crime. We hope there's a crime, because it would be a major letdown if we found out it wasn't. But that's part of the appeal, is finding out, well, how was it a crime? How was it not the character just offing herself? So the mark of a great mystery will keep us intrigued, even if it's slow, even if it does take a little while to get all the pieces together. As long as we can craft those scenes to keep the reader's interest, even for 20 pages at a time, it still works. So yeah, I don't know. I think you may find the exercises might be overwhelming. You might find there's so many graphics to get through. I mean, you're not going to remember everything you see or read. But these types of books are great for going back to them, to refreshing memory, to again doing the practice. And I love this book because I don't think it leaves anything on the table. It leaves no mystery behind. Like, when you finish the book, you know how to write a mystery. You know how to sell the mystery, but you know how to write a mystery. And like, why buy a book about writing mysteries if you can't get to the end and not know how to write a mystery? Like, and the last point I want to make before we wrap this up is, there's nothing more betrayal to me than a book on structure, for a genre that doesn't even tell us what the tropes are in that genre. We still need to read a lot in the genre. Like, if you want to write a mystery, you probably need to read a lot of mysteries. So it's not just reading this book and getting it. Like, I mean, you really need to also experience how, well-known writers do mysteries. I think, if you haven't read Lee Child, you should. Lee Child's entertaining. His books are mysteries. They're not, I mean, they're thrillers also. But there is something to solve in each case, and especially in the first one. If you've never read Killing Floor, you should. It's a great book. When you're dealing with a mystery, you have to remember that there's certain tropes involved, and if you leave any of those out, the reader's going to notice. And I think it's a disservice if a book that's a how-to for a particular genre doesn't cover what those tropes are, or what those what they call the obligatory scenes. If it leaves those out, it does you disservice. And again, this book is painstaking in that it makes sure you understand what your book has to have in order to work as a not just a mystery, but one that people want to read. So again, if that's your thing, go for it. If you're not even sure it's your thing, but you feel like the mystery is a good anchor point, kind of like how romance, I don't read romance, but I'm perfectly fine if there's a romantic subplot in a book I'm reading. Whatever you're doing, ultimately, we like to have something that gives us more than just the plot. Something that makes it interesting. So you can learn how to make your romance more interesting with a mystery attached, or your thriller, your coming of age story, heck, your nonfiction book. If you're writing nonfiction, Malcolm Gladwell is one of my favorite nonfiction writers. Even he has a bit of a mystery in his stories, because again, he's going back and threading the pieces through. You know, how does in the tipping point, how does your your really niche item become, you know, mainstream? How does it catch fire? There's a mystery involved. You know, what does it take? So you can definitely use mystery in anything. You can use it to sell a product. You know, what will you gain by you know, by using this particular product? You know, what are you leaving behind by not using this? You know, there's the big question. So anyway, that's Writing a Song, Your Mystery Novel by Hallie Ephron, the revised and expanded edition. As I said, this one is one of my highly recommends. Even if you're not interested in writing mysteries, I don't think you should leave this one on the table because you can learn a lot from the mystery genre. Anyway, you get the point. Speaking of mysteries, can you guess what's in my cup? You should know by now what's in the cup. Coffee. Okay. Anyway, mystery solved. All right. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the things YouTubers tell you to do. We will be back, I guess, in 2 weeks with something new. I don't even know if this is the first or third Friday because I'm doing these out of order right now. But for the next one, we'll be back, I think, with another mystery how-to. A certain lead child may or may not be involved in it. I believe that's going to be the next one we do. I'm not for sure, but I'm going to be trying to cover several genres in this series this year. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing another genre next time or if I'm going to be doing another mystery. But stay tuned. Come on back. Either way, it'll be worth your time, hopefully. So that's all for now. Have a good day. And yeah, we'll see you for the next one. Thanks again. And you can support this channel, by the way, by just clicking the links below in the description. You know, hopefully you guys are engaging with the content I'm putting in the description, because assume that helps me. And then don't forget to share this with your writer friends. I don't mention that enough. If you like this channel, if you like the content in this channel, share it. You know, tell people about it. I would love to get more people watching it, and certainly this particular series. I do care about all the videos I put together, but you know, I particularly care about the series, and I'm hoping more people will catch on to it and learn from it. And remember that it's not just about what you learn in college or what you try to do just on a whim one Saturday afternoon when you feel like telling a story. I mean, there's a real skill here. There's a real learning curve, and you know, this series, you know, I started it because I want you all to learn something, because I learned a lot from this. You know, putting it to practice is a completely other beast entirely. You know, it's you can do all the education in the world. It only means as much as what you're able to put to practice. So I do hope that you guys are practicing what you read, and you're doing it often. But either way, I just want to make sure you guys know what's worth reading. So, all right, that's enough. Well, I'll see you for the next one. Take care. Bye.